Good day, everyone. Welcome back to our language class. In today's lesson, we're going to talk about singular and plural nouns. But before we begin with our new topic, let us first have a review. Last time, we talked about how to use the articles a or an. Now, class, remember, articles a or an are what we call as indefinite articles, simply because it is used together with a common noun. So let's start off first with the article A. So when do we use the article A? Yes, we use it if the noun next to it begins with a consonant letter or having a consonant sound. The article an, on the other hand, is used if the noun next to it begins with a vowel letter or a vowel sound. But aside from articles a or an, we also talked about two types of nouns which we call as count or mass nouns. Count nouns, if you remember, are the nouns you can count individually. These are the nouns that have plural forms, and they're also the nouns from which you can use a or an. Mass nouns, on the other hand, are the nouns you cannot count, or we can also call as uncountable nouns. Generally, they do not have plural forms. Though they cannot be counted, they can be measured using counters or quantifiers. Example, by the way, of counters or quantifiers is if you are going to drink milk or water, you use a glass of milk, a glass of water. A glass of is an example of a counter or a quantifier. Now let us take a look at some examples of count nouns and mass nouns. With these given pictures, which do you think are count nouns? Yes, first we have the pencils. Another one, chairs, exactly. And, of course, bags. How about for the mass nouns? Yes, we have here rice, beans or peas, and milk. Now let us have other examples of count nouns. Yes, all of these things or all of these nouns are count nouns too. But look at each of them. How many laptop do you see in here? How many pencil do you see? Yes, in this slide, you can only see one laptop and one pencil. So which means these nouns that mean only one are called singular nouns. On the other hand, how many books do we have? Let's say we have 5 books in this slide. How about the children? How many are they? There are 3 of them. Now, when we speak of nouns that are 2 or more than 1, then we call them as plural nouns. Now let's talk about singular nouns. Singular nouns are the nouns that mean only one. These are the nouns that if you use in the sentence and you're only referring to one noun, then you are using singular nouns. These are the nouns also from which you can use articles a or an, or you can use the number 1 before the noun. Examples. You have one boy, one worm, or a koala, or a whale. So again, kids, what do we call the nouns that mean only one? Yes, we call them as singular nouns. But what if we use nouns that mean more than one? Or we say we want to talk about a noun that means 2 or more, like cats, butterflies, or boxes. So what kind of nouns are we going to use? Yes, we call that as plural nouns. Plural nouns are the nouns from which we would refer to 2 or more nouns, just like the examples we have here. In these examples, you see 2 cats, 2 butterflies, and 2 boxes. Now, since these examples mean more than one, we call them now as plural nouns. Let us have other examples of singular and plural nouns. Under singular nouns, you have bird, fairy, tomato, and knife. These nouns mean only one. On the other hand, for plural nouns, you have birds, fairies, tomatoes, and knives. Each of these nouns mean more than one. Now take a look at the examples. Do you notice something? Yes, it is noticeable, right? From bird being the singular, when it came to plural, we added s. Fairy became fairies, tomato, tomatoes, knife, and knives. So how did we do it? So in the next slide, we're going to talk about changing singular nouns into plural nouns. Now that we have learned what is a singular or plural noun, it's time for us to learn how to form plural nouns. Now, in changing singular nouns into plural nouns, there are rules to be followed or rules to observe. Let us start with rule number 1. In rule number 1, we simply add s. Most nouns, or we call as regular nouns, become plural by simply adding s at the end of the noun. Examples: bed, sister, bike, dog. These are all singular nouns. But if we are going to change that into plural nouns, bed would become beds, sisters, bikes, and dogs. See the s at the end? So this is how we do plural nouns using rule number 1. Let us now have rule number 2. For this rule, we are going to talk about the nouns ending in these letters: S, X, Z, SH, and CH. If the noun ends with the given letters, you simply add ES at the end of the word. Examples: you have box, pitch, wish, boss, buzz, and glass. To make that into a plural noun, or to make them into plural noun, we simply add es at the end of each word. So thus box would become boxes, pitch, pitches, wish, wishes, or bosses, buzzes, and glasses. So again, for the second rule, remember that if the noun ends with s, x, z, sh, and ch, you add es. Rule number 3. In this rule, let's talk about nouns ending in O. Now, there are two ways to form the plural noun of singular nouns ending in O. The first one is to add es. The other one is to simply add s. Nouns such as mango, potato, and hero or tomato are nouns ending in O from which form their plural by adding es. On the other hand, we have peso, radio, centavo, and Filipino, from which they form their plural by adding s. So see in the examples, mango becomes mangoes or mangoes, potato, potatoes, hero, heroes, tomato, and becomes tomatoes. Peso is pesos, radio, radios, centavo, centavos, Filipino, Filipinos. Now see kids, when we are dealing with words ending in O, we have to be careful because we have to know whether we have to end it with ES or S. Rule number 4. For this rule, we're going to talk about nouns ending with Y. So there are two ways of forming the plural form of singular nouns ending with Y. First, if the noun ending in Y has a vowel before Y, we simply add S. But if the noun ending in Y has a consonant before it, we have to remove Y before adding IES. Let's take a look at some examples. First, nouns with a vowel before Y, like tray, key, boy, and guy. Tray, since A is a vowel, before Y, we simply added S. Same with key, becoming keys, boy, boys, guy, guys. But it's different if the noun ends with Y but has a consonant before Y, because we have to remove Y before adding IES. Example, fairy, removing the Y becomes fairies. Fly, flies. Sky, skies. Puppy, puppies. Okay, kids, please do remember that there are two ways of forming the plural form of plural nouns of singular nouns ending in Y. If it has a vowel before Y, add S. But if it has a consonant before Y, you have to remove Y before adding IES. Lastly, rule number 5. For rule number 5, we're going to talk about now nouns that end with F or FE. For some nouns ending in these letters, you have to remove or drop the F or FE first before adding VES. Examples: you have knife, life, thief, and leaf. Not like we've said, you have to drop or remove F or FE before adding VES. So with knife, it would become knives. Life, lives. Thief, thieves. Leaf, or leaves. But then again, there are exemptions to the rule because there are nouns ending in F like chef, roof, reef, and cliff. These nouns form their plural by simply adding S. So meaning to say, chef is chefs, not chefs. Roof is roofs, reef is reefs, cliff is cliffs. Got that, kids? Okay, remember again, nouns and ending in F or FE, you're going to drop or remove F or FE, then add VES. But there are exemptions like chef, roof, reef, and cliff. So for those nouns that I've just mentioned, you simply add S. Now let's have a recap. In this lesson, we talked about singular and plural nouns. Now remember, kids, when we say singular noun, it means it has only one noun. But if it's plural noun, it would mean it has two or more nouns. Now let's have examples for singular and plural. Now in this lesson, we also talked about changing singular nouns into plural nouns. Now let's try to look at the rules of changing nouns or singular nouns into plural nouns again. Okay, kids, always remember that when it comes to changing singular nouns into plural nouns, there are certain rules that we need to follow. First, to make the plural of regular nouns, we usually add S to the noun, like doll, dolls, cup, cups. Or for nouns ending with letters S, Z, X, CH, SH, SS, and some nouns ending in O, we have to add ES to the noun. Examples, they have box, boxes, kiss, kisses, hero, heroes, or volcano, volcanoes. Next rule is for nouns ending with Y. So remember, kids, it's important that you take a look at the letter next to the Y. If Y has a vowel before it, you simply add S. But if it has a consonant before it or before Y, drop Y first before adding IES, like monkey, monkeys, day, days, berry, berries, sky, or skies. And lastly, for nouns ending with F or FE, change F or FE to V before adding ES. Example, leaf, leaves, wife, or wives. But then again, for nouns ending with F, you have to be careful also because there are exemptions to the rule, like the reef or roof. Instead of saying reefs, it becomes reefs because there are some words ending in F that can be made into plural just by adding S. So there it is, kids. These are the rules that we need to remember whenever we make singular nouns into plural nouns. Don't forget. That's it for today's lesson. I hope you enjoyed and I hope you learned a lot, kids. So thank you once again for being with me. By the way, this video is uploaded in my YouTube channel, Basic English with Mrs. A. Try to check that out. So once again, thank you and bye-bye.